Fighting Irish faithful, welcome to a post-game live show. Notre Dame making mimosas out of the Syracuse orange. I can't think of anything better to say than that. Like, I am absolutely blown away and shocked with the outcome of this game. If anyone listened to our show on Tuesday night, some of the people that we have on live right now, wow, I am shocked. Notre Dame defeats Syracuse at Syracuse 41-24. I was very tempered and very cautious going into the show, just saying to myself, you know what, just on paper, looking at the data, looking at the numbers and where Notre Dame is and our struggles and Tommy Rees and blah, 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 Drew Pine. I just didn't think that we had it in us. I'll be very honest with you, the audience. Now, special event, and maybe this is why we won. I am joined with special guest in the studio. No, it is not Red Snapper 1998. My friend Dominic. Hello, say hello. Introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, everybody. And Dominic, born and raised an Irish fan, so
which is
up in Indiana. So
a contributing reason why we're friends.
Yes, that's kind of the main reason. I mean,
we did meet at church though. So.
Yes, that is true.
But yeah. So joined by Dominic, you brought the wife, the baby, and baby in womb. Well, yes, he has to come with the wife, I guess. But
yes, she's here. I'm just aren't you glad you aren't a Syracuse
aren't you
fan?
Glad you're not a Syracuse fan?
Orange, yeah.
If we get any Syracuse people on, I highly doubt that'll happen. They're just like, what happened? You know. So. Well, hey, let's get to the people here. Wookie, I see you. We're gonna bring you on first. We're gonna invite you to speak. Since you helped provide us with some legit intro music, go ahead and unmute yourself. Welcome to the podcast. Wookie.
Yes. What's up, brother?
Hey, we're doing well tonight.
Oh, man. How about that defense, huh? It's clicking.
Yeah. No, I'm so happy with Notre Dame's performance, especially shutting them out in the second quarter.
Yes.
So, but yeah, like, are you surprised with this outcome like we are, or are you just like, oh yeah, no, I knew this was going to happen?
We were due with our record and track and the past. We were due for this, and I am so glad that it came out against a number 16 team. It was beautiful. It couldn't have happened at a better time.
I think that's appropriate given that where we are in the season and with Clemson on the horizon here, and they have a bye right now. But yeah, that's true. Like, this did not look at all like the number 16 ranked team in the country at all.
No, it was surprising. I was shocked that we scored 41, right?
Yes.
I was shocked that we scored that many.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just like looking at the doc, looking at Dominic here and just saying, who is this team? Like, I didn't expect us to do this well. And like, I just kind of, I don't want to say dismiss the team because that sounds really shitty if you're running a Notre Dame football podcast. But at the same time, it's just like, looking at the numbers and the data, and you were on Tuesday's show. So, I mean, like, The mood from Tuesday's show was very tempered, very analytical, very data driven. And it's like, today I got kind of like I'm like a 8-year-old kid in front of the TV again,
Yeah, big 40 points.
Yeah,
and
40 points? Like, this is what Notre Dame football is. Running the football 75% of the time. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Hashtag RTDB.
As soon as that pick six happened with the first play,
they were fucked at that point.
Al Golden, oh my God, you're a genius. There you are. How are you doing?
Well, and that was a real shitty read by Schrader, too.
Oh, that was horrible by him. But still, we were in the right place at the right time due to what? Coaching.
Yeah, I do think that Al Golden's defense, though at times gives up the big play, at the end of the day, I think they are giving Notre Dame an opportunity. Foskey had a couple of good sacks in there. But I hope Abe Miola is doing well. I know he got shaken up later in the game. But yeah, Notre Dame comes out with a victory. Defense holding, Syracuse coming into this game, they were 54th in total touchdowns. and their scoring offense was ranked 36 in the country, averaging 33.9 points per game. And again, the Al Golden defense comes in, limits our opponent, and they get less than that on average. Granted, this is Notre Dame. They didn't play Wagner, but it doesn't matter. On average, okay, Notre Dame defeats Syracuse, and they limit them to 24 points. So,
yeah, thank God we limited them and we just took off. We needed this dominant victory today. We needed it for morale purposes.
I agree. We're these are two very tough teams, and I think propping Syracuse up a little bit more. And Wookie, is this something to do with Notre Dame on the road?
Yes, I have no idea what in the hell is going on right now with that, but it's crazy to me that we cannot play as strong at home, given what we've been through the past, former years and all that at home. And now we're on the road, and it's just like, we're kind of kicking ass on the road and sucking at home. What's going on here?
Yeah, Joe and I actually talked a little bit about that during the game, and we were kind of wondering is it actually a home versus away thing, or is it something where our team is just so flux in the ups and downs where we don't really know what we're gonna get until they get on the field and start playing. And I thought it was a lot of preparation, didn't you?
I think so too, and maybe like the North Carolina game. I think Notre Dame. I don't want to say was the underdog, but it was a close game as far as if you ask Las Vegas, how that was going to be. This game, other than the Ohio State game, and Notre Dame looked great in the first half against Ohio State. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing is going on where you have Notre Dame kind of coming in with a chip on their shoulder, against the 16th ranked team in the country, and I'm not the one who put that ranking on there. I follow Sager, and anyone who follows this show on for some period of time, we follow Sagarin because it's based on data and numbers and math, not necessarily based on reporters' opinions. And that's nothing against reporters. That's just where our show lives versus others. But again, it is the number that's, if you went to ESPN and you looked at the number next to Syracuse, it would be, the AP and how they were ranked. And Notre Dame goes in with a chip on their shoulder and from the get-go with that pick six, and I think that was a real shitty pass by Schrader, but that's
horrible.
Well, and that's nothing to take away from Brandon Joseph, who got the pick six. So, and he had two. It looked like he had two interceptions, but then I don't know what happened on that play. But
it should have been a second interception.
Yeah, we were like, oh, interception, and high fiving ourselves, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, Syracuse still has the ball. So it's like, wait, did I just black out and something happened?
Yeah, exactly. Did I have too many whiskeys? What?
Well,
yes, the refs sucked this game. I swear, the refs were horrible.
There were a lot of penalties against Notre Dame at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
right?
Especially at the first quarter, they had like 50 yards of penalties. I think it popped up. I saw during the game. It's like
the back-to-back holding penalties. Did you see any holds on the second one at all? Did you see any? I did not.
No, it's this goes back to the Stanford game, right? There were some severe penalties in that game as well, and so. We can go back and forth about the refs, and my opinion is always like your team has to be better than the environment, and by environment I mean the officiating as well.
True.
And so that's just something of where college football is. I didn't see too much that was completely outrageous, because at the end of the day, Notre Dame gets it done on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But we had way too many penalties, though. They got to clean that up.
Yeah. And I thought it was weird. I mentioned something to Joe during the game about, usually the refs are like, okay, we're either going to call it loose this game or we're going to call them tight. And at first I was like, okay, they better play a really clean football game here on out because they're calling stuff tight. They're calling everything. They see it. They're going to call it. And then we got I forget who it was over the middle. Could have been a pass interference call, no flag, and I was like, okay, well, I guess it doesn't go both ways. So that would be my only gripe against the refs this evening is, if you're going to call it loose, call it loose. If you're going to call it tight, and stick one way or another.
All I ask from the officiating crew is consistency.
Yeah.
And
exactly. Me too.
I think as the game went on, it didn't seem pretty, but it's for a while in the beginning of the game, and maybe it was just the chippiness and the energy of Notre Dame or the teams or whatever, and quite frankly, some of the stuff like a unsportsmanlike conduct after a big pick six.
That was stupid.
Well, and at the end of the day, like I was just like part of me is kind of glad, because that means our team is actually playing with emotion. I mean, it is stupid, right? It's against the rules and you shouldn't do it. But at the same time, like, it does show a sense of energy and urgency and excitement to be playing football. You know, this isn't a fucking business trip.
Yeah. It was ticky-tack, but I'll take it.
Absolutely. Well, Wookie, we have tons of people on. We're going to try to get to everyone as soon as we can. So, Wookie, last thoughts, and then we're going to jump over to someone else.
Last thoughts are the championship run has begun, and we
talk to me, talk dirty to me.
Sound.
We're going to pour some more scotch as you talk to that. And
I am going to pour a shot of whiskey. Because we're going places, baby. It's starting to click. Everything's coming together. It's a well-oiled machine. Let's go.
Well, hopefully Clemson isn't a cold shower, but we don't have to talk about them. We can enjoy and celebrate tonight.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Wookie, for joining us. Go Irish. All right. That is Wookie at Wookie4C Elliott on the Twitter. Check him out. He's got some good stuff, and we're going to go over him. We're going to jump over to Jimmy Gallagher at JL Gallagher 3. You've been invited to speak. I know you're waking yourselves up over there on the West Coast. Jimmy, if you wish to join us, please. It would give us great joy. Go ahead and hit the invite. Hit the pink button on the lower left-hand corner to speak.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Jimmy Gallagher, welcome finally to the Fighting Irish Faithful podcast.
Finally.
Welcome.
Well, let's start off by saying, do we all not wish we could play Clemson on the road?
Oh my gosh, you're not wrong there. Like, and maybe this is something deeper about Notre Dame Stadium, but I'm with you there. The energy and the enthusiasm and the just flat out execution Notre Dame brings against North Carolina, BYU, shit, you could even say Ohio State, quite frankly, especially the first half. It looks like a different team versus Marshall, Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely looks like a different team. The energy is just insane, what we're seeing on the road, and that camaraderie just against superior opponents, too.
Yes.
Which is kind of frustrating. And today early we saw, the quick pick six, and to piggyback off what you guys were saying, we showed some emotion. Then we get turned back with Salerno over the middle. Didn't call the PI. I think they called that uncatchable, but if they didn't interfere, who knows? So there was just some questionable calls.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. What's really interesting as far as Notre Dame's passing, and there was a few passes where Drew Pine kind of does the typical, what the hell are you looking at, or you just flat out sales mayor or whatever it is. But Notre Dame runs the ball highest they ever have all season, 74.7% of the time. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, it's nothing exciting.
I think it was needed. I think coming into the week, there was a lot of people, including yourself, saying that's what we needed, right? Like 250 yards was kind of that bare minimum we wanted to see in order to be in this game. And it was tough, physical running. It was nice to see Tyree get back in the game. It was nice to see Estime control the ball after contact, because I think a bunch of Irish fans were
and no fumble,
kind of nervous on the fumble woes there for a while. I mean, that three-headed monster's back.
We have to drink. That's a drink on the Notre Dame. Anytime the NBC says three-headed monster, we have to take a shot.
But it was ABC today.
I know, so they know what's going on, but
they suck.
Yeah.
I think we can finally establish that we, as unfortunate as it is, I think we've seen the program as what it's going to be this season, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with where we're at, where Pine is at, and I think a lot of people wanted to see Angeli come in for a time, but what we're not seeing is what he's doing in practice. And I think that's got to have a lot to do with what's going on right now and him not getting in the game.
Yeah, there's a clear reason why he's not the starter, right?
Yeah, there's got to be something in the film rooms or the meeting rooms, or maybe he doesn't have the playbook down yet, or whatever it is.
Right.
I know there's a huge gap if you start
coaching staff.
Yeah, and we're on the outside looking in, right? You know, like we're not credentialed media. We're just two dudes in Central Indiana and one dude here in Oregon, right? And and Wookie in Florida and all our other people, you know, from Iowa to Arizona to North Carolina to the Northeast to, I don't know where Mark is from. But my point is, like, we're just Notre Dame fans scattered throughout the country, and we are watching what we see on TV and through highlights and whatnot, or what you hear through your favorite podcast. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But no, you're not wrong, Jimmy, when you're talking about, look, do we put Angeli in or not? You know, and there's a few times, you know, but I think that shows a level of execution and patience, and the play calling to an extent made sense today. And I have no problems with Notre Dame using the running game as a strength. If the defense, i.e. Syracuse's rushing defense, can't stop Estime, Diggs, Tyree, great. Let's run 200 plus yards on them all day. I don't care if it's much better than our passing. I really don't care.
And I mean, that's the traditional old school football way. Like, build up your run and open up the pass lanes, open up the pass defense through your running game. And obviously they can't go out there and just throw the ball every down, because we kind of all know.
Yeah, there's no pedigree that's a path of success for Notre Dame right now. But I mean, if your bedrock of foundation is the running game versus the passing game, sign me up, right? I'm a hobo making beans and making camp on this mountain right now. Okay?
And you'll get wins like this, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
He
Right.
said beans.
No, you guys nailed it. I think that momentum has finally carried us into a spot where we're comfortable with establishing the run game early and trying to open things up. But if we can't, I think we all now feel comfortable just going with that north and south run game and trying to get the ball, 3 to 4 to 5 yards per carry.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have the Notre Dame's average per yard. If you give me a minute here. No, I do have it. Yards per carry, 4.4 yards per carry. See, this is why I have a stat spreadsheet that just auto calculates this shit for me. All I have to do is put the inputs in the output.
Always coming in clutch with the stats.
Hey, you know what? No offense to
Johnny Five.
Johnny 5 is awesome. Short Circuit 2 is better than Short Circuit 1. But no, again, Notre Dame running the football, it's really good. Notre Dame beats them on third down. Notre Dame, doesn't pass the ball very much. We only had 116 passing yards, but we did have one passing touchdown. We won in the turnover margin. We had that one. A slow start, but 17 points in the fourth quarter. We put Syracuse away.
About time.
Yeah, closing out a game was kind of a nice switch up for this season. It was nice to see it, and I think we've been waiting for it all year, and I think we've been on the edge of our seats going into a lot of close games, and to be able to see that finally with play calling and personnel and everything else was just kind of a sigh of relief.
Absolutely.
And I've been waiting on that for the last few years, actually. Closing out
Kelly,
a
get the
close
F out.
game. Yeah, come on, put up the numbers, run the score up. I mean, it used to be that would be the respectable thing not to do, but hey, if it's right now, we're not in the playoff hunt, and we're not going to be.
No, it's not.
But the moment, that's what you have to do. If in the future seasons, you got to be able to put up 17 in the fourth quarter.
You have something to build on to
Yes.
give the players, these young men on this team that work their asses off in practice, killing themselves in the weight room, literally going through pain and living in ice baths or whatever the hell Notre Dame has them doing. And Jimmy, is it fun to be a Notre Dame fan today?
It's fun to be a Notre Dame fan every day to an extent, but today is a lot more fun. But this will be the last thing I say. I know you guys got other callers, but how fun was it seeing Freeman getting fired up on the sideline?
Oh, his gum going flying.
I thought he was spitting, literally.
Did we finally? We needed that. Like I like him getting.
We
fired
saw
up
the
with
button.
players. I
The
like
button was
camaraderie,
pushed.
but getting fired up.
He didn't quite like slam dunk, body slam the headset, but he basically was like, he's so pissed that his gum flies out of his mouth, hits the ref on the side. Not really, but yeah, like he was getting all fired up, man. And I didn't understand what happened because the ref was there. You know, the ref set the ball, and they usually are like, okay, let's make sure everything's good to go. Then they leave.
Wanted a penalty.
Well, and then the ref like ran back and like, no, hold on, you know, and it's like, I agree with Freeman. Like, that's appropriate to be pissed. Like, our team has momentum. We're moving the ball. The ref leaves the football to allow our center and quarterback, you know, to begin the next play. And then the ref runs in there to basically save Syracuse because Syracuse is fucked and doesn't have the right personnel in the field. And you know, like, he's 100% right to get pissed about that. Like, look, we're trying to score. We're trying to use this momentum, didn't score. And, you know, we got our shit together and Syracuse is not. And yeah, to see our coach, you know, get, and he didn't get like a penalty or anything, you know, like, so that's good. But at the same time, like, show that emotion and just, yeah, it was just great to see.
And in the same realm of that, like seeing Tommy Reese getting fired up. I don't know if you guys saw that little bit they had where Tommy Reese was getting on Drew Pine on the old phone line down there. Yeah, he's giving him something.
I mean, he didn't quite like yell at him to say to do your effing job, right? But
what a way from Reese to recognize how guys want to be coached.
Yes,
and to keep going at Pine like that is pretty cool. To try to get everything out of him.
That was key when he did that. Yeah, that was beautiful. It was like, coach me, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, other than the pick six, you know, I mean, the offense put up 30 plus, you know, points here. And yeah, I mean, I can't be too pissed about the outcome of this game, you know, 34 points on offense. And yeah, I'm a happy Irish fan. So, Jimmy, anything else? And we'll jump to the next person.
Nothing else today other than go Irish, you guys, and thanks for letting me come on the show. Finally, it's been a blast.
Yeah, Jimmy, finally happy. Maybe we should have more noon games, and then, you know, you're not as so much busy with the family or work or whatever you got going on in the personal life.
Getting ready to go trick or treating right now. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, happy Halloween and All Saints Day coming up too, and go Irish. Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, brother, go Irish.
All right, at JL Gallagher 3 on the Twitter. Finally, first time ever. Jumping on the Fighting Irish Faithful show. So thank you, Jimmy, for joining us. Let's jump over to Irish Eyes, if you so wish. Give you your 2 cents. Irish Eyes 242 invited to the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Accept, if you so wish. If not, we'll jump to someone else, or we'll just chit chat here about stats. Dominic, so you've been a fan of Notre Dame your whole life, and
long time.
You know, like, we traditionally bash Brian Kelly on this show. That's kind of one of our traditions. Between that, Scotch spreadsheets, which tonight we're having an Aberfeldy, excuse me. But Irish Eyes, are you there?
I am.
How are you feeling today?
I am happy today. And I take back that we should have let subbed Pine out and let Araceli play. I take it back. I didn't mean it.
Yeah, everyone's like, no, come back.
I mean, like, it's like somebody said, you know, we don't get to see him in practice. We don't know what's going on. So, I don't know. Let's just finish the season strong. Do the best we can, right?
I'm with you right there. You know, I think, and I didn't say this in the last show, but I did kind of think this, where Notre Dame will get a huge boost of confidence going into the Clemson game with a win at Syracuse. I'm not making any predictions against Syracuse right now because that's not, or excuse me, about Clemson right now with this game. We just want to enjoy this victory. But on the Tuesday night live show, you know, we'll look further at the numbers and the data, which of course, if what we did last week was completely bull crap because I didn't flat out say that we would lose to Syracuse, but I was not very confident of Notre Dame going into this game. What was your thought, Irish Ice?
I don't know. This team has done exactly kind of opposite of what I thought, so I was hopeful, and now I'm afraid that we're going to get blown out by Clemson because I feel like Clemson probably hid some stuff, knowing that Syracuse wasn't as good as everybody was saying they were. That's my thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not big on talking. I just like to listen to you guys, so I will let you go and let somebody else talk. But like I said, that's my thought. Is Syracuse was kind of baiting. I know they're watch this game. They're making all kinds of adjustments, and so I'm scared about that one. But I'm happy for this one. I'm going to celebrate tonight.
Hey, Notre Dame gets a win. We can be happy. We can celebrate. I mean, it's 4:45 here on the East Coast or Eastern time zone because Indiana is not on the East Coast.
And were you happier with Pine's performance tonight?
I was. I mean, he didn't make any mistakes. Like that's kind of what you ask, right?
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, Grant, he didn't have too much opportunity to make mistakes, right?
Balls, but at least he didn't underthrow him and get him picked, right?
I mean, there was one turnover, and I think it was kind of like a bumbled, kind of tipped pass, and that's pretty typical. But I mean. Well, and at the same time, I mean, he wasn't great. He did throw the ball 47% of the time. That's not his. It's pretty bad. It might actually be his worst. It is his worst all season. Previous worst was the Stanford game. But granted, we ran the ball better. And what have we said on this podcast since day one? #RTDB. So, which stands for run the damn ball. So I'm really happy with the outcome. I have no problem with Notre Dame running the ball. Is it what national champions and quote good teams do? No, but what have I said? I said this after the Marshall game, and I emphasized this last week. Notre Dame is not at that level right now. So we are a more realistic, kind of tempered team, and now we're 5-3.
And all the big dogs too, they can run the ball.
Absolutely,
all of them can when they want to. I mean, they may pass heavily, but the ones that are winning national championships, they can run it.
Yeah, typically, based off of the research I have, national champions. We can pull up the specific numbers here, but national champions and passing touchdowns. Over the last 10 years, the national champion has passed about 41 passing touchdowns every season, and then rushed about 36 passing touchdowns. So a little more on the passing than the rushing, but I think that's just kind of where college football is. But if you go back, 5, 6, 7 years, that was not the case, especially the early Nick Saban Alabama teams. And so Nick Saban Alabama is kind of setting the trend just because of how many times they've won the title. But at the same time, yes, this podcast typically lives in that space of comparing Notre Dame to these great teams because that's where we want to be. But we have kind of taken a step back, and that's still the measure, that's still the watermark that we're comparing Notre Dame to. But we are also not expecting Notre Dame to perform at that level, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, you talk about rushing, and I mean, I know it's going back a ways, but look at what Nebraska used to do. That was all rushing the football. So you can win championships that way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's been a few years, but I think if you have the right people, you can run it down somebody's throat. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back to 1994 Nebraska here. So, and yes, that is in the spreadsheets. 94-95 back-to-back national champions by Nebraska. So
don't forget, defense wins championships. Come on,
defense does win championships too. Yeah. Al Golden. I Wookie's happy. He's a Bengals fan. That's fine.
Oh, he's a poor soul.
Yeah, he was happy, really happy last year, and this year, I don't even watch the NFL. I honestly have no idea how the Bengals are doing. I heard they're not good.
Hey, we're good.
You're good?
We're good.
All right.
Good.
I'm sure he's happy, considering the last few years.
Oh, considering all the years?
All the years.
Very happy.
Hey, there you go. All right. Irish Eye, is anything else? Nope. If not, no problem. We'll move on to the next person. We'll move on to Jason here at IrishJTL on the Twitter. We've invited you to speak live from Syracuse. Or, Jason, are you home in Iowa? We'll see how it goes. Jason, are you there? IrishJTL on the Twitter. Invite you to speak. If not, we'll move on to the next piece here. Jason, are you there? Invite you to speak. All right, we're going to Justin Cates. Justin, you there? Jason must be in the John or doing something with family. Justin Cates. This is where we edit it on the podcast version. Justin, go ahead and unmute yourself. Welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show.
Well, first of all, go get your merch. I'm always going to pump the merch on this show. I think you should have a new hoodie, and on that hoodie it should say, "In this space, we talk fighting Irish football."
Oh my gosh.
That is and you are a spreadsheets and a scotch guy. Do you remember what I told you on Tuesday?
You said a lot of things on Tuesday. Please remind me.
I said that I had a tingle.
Okay.
And then my tingle told me that Notre Dame was going to beat Syracuse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not pick up on that. Maybe my negative vibes are...
Run it back and listen. So you're about scotch and spreadsheets. I'm about tingles and tequila. That's what I do here.
Why have we not heard this before? Hold on. Hashtag tingles. I'm literally writing this down in the notebook. Tingles and tequila.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Well, and we did get some Cabo Wabo in the house because the doc said that she wanted. So we had a nacho bar in the house with our friends. Was it okay?
It was more than.
How was the salsa? It is award-winning salsa.
It was
Nacho
really good.
bar?
Capable of winning awards.
Fantastic. Yeah. So for the record, we won't plug this too much, but I did this is years ago, probably like 3-4 years ago. I entered my salsa recipe in a contest at work and it won. So I for a while I put in my signature at work and I kind of like coded it in white text so you couldn't see it in an email unless you highlighted it or you weren't looking at emails in HTML format, and it was white text that said the rolls or the salsa champion. So
sneaky sir.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then like what found out is people who are looking at this on their BlackBerry or their iPhone or whatever, their work phone, looking at emails. It did not have. Well, I mean, we use a quote unquote BlackBerry app, but my point is, people would still see, the salsa champion in my signature, and it's like, oh snap, Yes. Eventually, my boss was like, you gotta take that down.
And what's great too, we have a lot of Hispanics in the area, so that is a real treat to win the salsa.
And that was not the intent. It was just more like, hey, I like salsa. I like making stuff. I grew up in Los Angeles, right? So I know what's up. And Justin, you're out there in Arizona, so I'm sure you've had a decent amount of good Mexican food, but. I was just like, hey, I've been tweaking this recipe for a while. I like it. I just like hanging out with people, and I entered this into a contest and I won at work. And all the Hispanic brethren at work were kind of surprised that some Polish white dude, some gringo, won. And hey, the people have spoken. So democracy rules. And we're voting in like a week or something. So there it is. So Justin, let's get back to some Notre Dame football here. Justin, what's your thought of this game? I mean, Notre Dame comes out, Hulk smashes Syracuse right at the beginning. And if I was a little more cocky, I would say that Syracuse was fucked right from the beginning. But quite frankly, it was kind of close in the first half.
Yeah, and I think, Brian Mason deserves a blank check.
Oh, he is the toast of the night. Let's raise a glass, everyone. Brian Mason, and I put this out on Twitter. Brian Mason is the toast of the night. give that guy whatever he needs. Our special teams has never looked better.
No, and I know. I mean, you obviously count the blocks, but there's constantly pressure when we want it, which I feel like we would have pressure like under Kelly and with Polian. Pressure felt like it was good. I was like, oh, we got some pressure, and now we're actually getting home, which is huge, and it's enormous momentum shifters. So. That, and that pick six I think was a real backbreaker. I think that hurts bad. We were able to get pressure on him early. I felt like with not using a lot of rushing. I think Bertrand played well. I've been fairly critical of him. I think my True Pine is just I'm losing hair watching him play the position. And then losing even more hair, watching Tommy, call plays that I still don't understand. But
I actually think the play calling made sense. I mean, I won't speak for everybody here, but me personally, I never really saw. And granted, I was just kind of like I'm not sitting there with like dot matrix paper and a computer. I mean, I know everyone's talking about spreadsheets and whatnot.
Really?
I'm not. I literally am sitting there, and half the game, my phone was actually in the other room. I was just like, look, I'm, we got friends over, I've got to play host.
It's my fault.
Is it your fault?
I'm just kidding.
I didn't say that. But no, seriously, like I'm trying to be a good host. And it's like, look, I just want to enjoy watching Notre Dame football, like, yes, I want us to win, but I'm not going to be like super analytical and charting plays, right? Like I started doing that like a couple of years ago when I started this podcast. I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. Like, I kind of want to like enjoy the game in the spur of the moment. And then when we come back, then we'll look at the data and then like, okay, this is what happened. And then as a fan, because I am a fan, Dominic, you are a fan, Justin, you are a fan. Pretty much everyone who's on this podcast is a fan. And that's our approach to this, is always through the lens of fandom, not through analytical data, computer, AI, crap, right? That's just not what we do.
Yeah. And I saw it firsthand. I was like, I'm surprised you don't have a notepad out here. You're taking notes, because I listened to a few podcasts.
That shows how great I am,
Apple,
because I don't need the...
But, yes, but I was surprised. You just come in from a fan approach.
Yeah, I mean, that's always how we are. And then, we let the data and the numbers and other people, and I collect that, and then the spreadsheet kind of does its thing. But yeah, we're happy with the outcome of this game. 10 points in the third quarter for Syracuse, but that was their height. They were blanked in the second quarter. They were confused. They did not look like the same team that we've seen all year.
Go D.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, and I think the defense is, we don't have long drives for the most part, and when we do, they're sort of spaced out. So I know you guys were talking earlier about Golden's defense giving up big plays. I think that has a lot to do with them not getting a ton of time on the sideline to talk it over, to catch a quick blow. I really like Al Golden's defense. I know that there's some like deficiencies, but I think he'll get better and better.
He's got to test the waters.
Yeah, there was a really good, a juicy rumor that flew around about sort of Harry Hiestand telling Tommy Reese, like, don't be afraid to put it on my guys.
Oh, there you go.
Don't be afraid. You're getting a lot of heat right now. Don't be afraid to put it on my guys, Yeah. And Pine sat in the pocket for 4 and 5 seconds and couldn't figure out what to do with the ball.
Yes.
That was awesome. Goodness.
I can't believe he hung on to that ball. I think in the fourth quarter when he got sort of, I don't know how bad he missed that dude, but he pummeled him.
The
and
protection was wonderful.
Yeah. So if that's right, I think it's good to have someone a little bit older in Reese's ear saying, because the thing we realize is once this offensive line starts moving downhill, they do very well. You get Estime. Estime was great tonight.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought it was a good game. I'm glad my tingle came true. So
now, how much tequila did you have to force said or to what's the word I'm looking for? Like interact,
it's 2 p.m.
excite.
It's 2 p.m. So, like, I'm looking at
Arizona
probably...
confuses me because they're not on daylight savings time. So, like,
it's common sense always confuses me.
But
We
you're
just
also
decide
closer
not
to
to.
Mexico than we are here in Indiana. So, well, I and not to get too funny here, but you're not wrong, Justin, when you talk about, and then we'll jump to the next person. We got tons of people here. Notre Dame's first touchdown on offense was actually their third possession. Our first actual possession, we missed a field goal. Then we went 5 plays and we punted. But on our first touchdown, is significantly unique. We had 11 plays, 9 of them were rushes. And it is our longest possession of almost 6.5 minutes to get a rushing touchdown by estimate. So, or excuse me, Logan Diggs, my apologies. Logan Diggs gets a rushing touchdown from the Syracuse 3. And 55 yards, took 6 minutes, 25 seconds. So,
wow. And if you talk about cause and effect too, that's like being able to run the ball like that look at the time that Pine had in the pocket the second half. It was he like you said, Justin, he was standing there for a while, a lot of plays, and then even on special teams, being able to have that blocking punt mentality and be able to go in there and block the punts they had the last 2 weeks. That opens up a lot of opportunities in the punt return game as well, because now the punt team's got to put in guys to try to cover some of that stuff. So you get some of those basics going, and you can win a lot of ball games that way.
Absolutely. And before I get down, I just want to remind everyone to head to Etsy to get your merch. Okay. Look soon for In This Space hoodies, as well as Tingles and Tequila. Go Irish, and we'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
All right. Thank you, Justin, for your loyalty and for plugging the show. The Etsy store, the Fighting Irish Faithful store. If you go to Etsy, just search for Fighting Irish Faithful, and I will come up. You'll recognize the logo.
And those pint glasses. I drank out of one tonight, and it was a beautiful design.
Now, did we win
great.
because you drank out of a pint glass, or because you were just here?
I'm pretty sure we won because somebody stuck something up somebody's butt. And his name's Tommy Reese.
Where are you going with this?
And started running the ball. I'm pretty sure that's why we won.
Because you ran the football? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was like, wait,
I tried to tone it down. It was about to be more aggressive, but
well, don't forget to hand wash those pint glasses, guys.
That's right. Hand wash only, otherwise you will be sad. Exactly.
Good quality ones.
All right. Thank you, Justin. We'll go back to Jason here at IrishJTL on the Twitter.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, we're very, very happy Irish fans.
I'm happy too. I accepted last time you asked me to speak. It just didn't go through. So sorry to leave you hanging.
That's okay. The Twitter gods or the devil is against us, or Elon Musk, who's now taking over Twitter. Apparently, maybe he's a Syracuse fan. Probably
Saint
not.
Michael,
but,
pray for us.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you think of this game? Like, are you as surprised as we are here in the studio, or are you just like, oh, we knew Notre Dame would clobber Syracuse by this many points?
I didn't think we were going to be able to run the ball as effectively as we did. I thought we had a good chance. You guys talked about our road performance, and I guess Vegas is pretty home, but we played pretty well away from Notre Dame.
I mean, this is our second highest margin of victory other than the UNLV game. And that's really, really good as far as like progression through the season. It's really nice to see your offense and defense, quote unquote, get better as you progress in the season. I'd rather see improvements and margin of victory later in the season than earlier in the season, right?
100%. And I think the way that we start, the Stanford loss, we started with a false start on the first play of the game, and that set the tone, and it put us in a deficit. And then today we get a pick on the first offensive play, and nice to see Joseph create a turnover and do something with it. But I was happy. I don't like early games because I like to get up and have some drinks beforehand, but I did not do that today.
Time is relative. Okay, you just have to change your schedule.
And I comprehended the game a lot better being early.
I won't lie, and like I'm sure Adam Dowling, who here we'll jump to in a few minutes here, he may chime in about the late Notre Dame games. Like maybe there's a statistical significance of Notre Dame's success earlier in the day than later in the day. I don't know. That's something else. That would probably take way too much effort than what it's worth.
Yeah.
But
I think we have two different teams that take the field, and sometimes we get a Marshall-Stanford team, and sometimes we get an Ohio State-Syracuse team.
yeah, I mean,
It's like I can't make sense of it.
like I wasn't pissed
Just
when
as
we
a
lost
fan, I cannot make sense of it.
Yeah, well, and that was a night game too at Ohio State, so maybe that kind of screws that up. So I think it's more of an away versus home thing.
Yeah, we played really well at UNC too.
Yeah,
We played very well with North Carolina.
yeah,
on the
played
road.
well
Yes.
in Vegas, but of course it's Vegas, and that was cool and fun and awesome. But
Yeah, I can't make rhyme or reason of it. I think from what I can gather, I was just telling my buddy this. He's a Michigan fan here sitting with me. We're going to watch the game.
you have a
tonight.
buddy who's a Michigan fan.
I do. I grew up with him. He's one of my oldest friends in the world. So,
Okay,
he is at Iowa Wolverine on Twitter. He's a good follow.
We'll pray for him.
What I was telling
I
him
wasn't
is,
going to say anything, but I'm glad you did.
it seems like Reese does not have a plan or a package with how to use the three running backs, and I think the way we play is dependent on how well we come out, because no matter who starts, if we start slow running the ball, it really never comes to fruition. When we started Estimate today and we were just running between the tackles all over them, we run for over 200 yards, and I don't think when that sails at first that he's got a plan for what to do next or who's going to come in and how that package changes, and I don't think we're making good adjustments in the running game when we don't start strong. And clearly, Drew played okay. That pass to Mayer was just completely junk, overthrown. That turnover is all on him. He's clearly not the answer. And,
Hit him in the hands.
yeah, yeah, it did. But I was pleased with how Foskey played. Great to get another block punt. Leofow had a good game. So I think the defense is solid. I think the offensive line played pretty well. Pine did move in the pocket a little bit, which was nice to see. But I still think he's just looking for Mayer first option, and I don't know how to break him of that.
Andy doesn't look upfield when he's scrambling either. He just like tucks it and goes.
That's because he looked for Mayer and he wasn't open.
Yeah, that's right.
What's really interesting is this is the lowest productivity per se of Notre Dame through the passing and receiving. Mayer only had 3 receptions. Now, I don't know, quote unquote, how many times he was targeted, but if I really want to be negative, he was targeted 13 times, and that explains the 10 misses by Drew Pine. Because Pine was 9 of 19. Probably not, but the point is, what's interesting is Mayer was targeted 3 times, Colsey was 3 times. Jaden Thomas, only 1 reception for 3 yards with a touchdown. Now, that is not the postulate of Jason Yeager, where he says Jaden Thomas, I believe, needs more than 1 reception for 8 yards for a Notre Dame victory. So I think this has... I think hashtag RTDB has kind of superseded his postulate there, but not to be negative or rude to Jason Yeager. He's a very, very loyal member of the Fighting Irish faithful.
And also something that's interesting about that is their averages per reception are super high, and I mean I think that's what you get when you can run the ball well.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if
I
your
mean, that
receivers are
I
averaging
formation.
10 yards,
Loved it.
well, and why didn't they do that more? They were in an I formation early in the game, and I'm like, yes,
school.
yes. I'm going to need a cold shower later tonight. Thinking of Notre Dame in an I formation. And then they go into 3rd and 1, and they're fucking in the red zone and
Shotgun.
It's like stop. Like this is the devil's
They did
work.
get in on that play though.
They did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, I will
fortunately.
never say it's unfortunate, but I mean, I don't know. It's clearly my preference. Anyone who's listened to this show for a while, but yeah,
I was driving at the beginning of this space. Has anybody mentioned the absolute dump truck stiff arm that Estimate laid down on that dude?
Oh man, I
man.
flat out shouted out, and I think I scared the boys here in the house, the little toddlers. But I was just like, "Little boy, sit down!" That is literally
That
what happened.
Syracuse defender may be
Shane-
checked out
Shane
for whiplash.
Tyler
Like it was bad.
The medical team had to assess him, and
Yeah.
the nurses are running
Yeah,
around with
beautiful.
red cross hats on the Syracuse sideline. Yeah, we need to find someone who's savvy on Twitter. Please find a clip of that and figure out who the poor soul, the poor defender of
It's
Syracuse
already in
is.
there. I just put it in the nest.
Excellent.
And by the way, don't forget to get your merchandise.
Thank you, Justin. Sneaky.
Where do
slip
I
in
get
there.
my merchandise?
At the Etsy store. Just go to Etsy and search Fighting Irish Faithful. We got pint glasses and hoodies and shit like that.
Oh, I think
Christmas
There's
is coming.
actually
You
a
need
link
a
in
white
the nest
elephant
to that
gift? I
too,
got
by
you
the
sorted.
way.
If you're painting your house, hey, I got you sorted too. You can
this
have
stuff
some
is
painting.
too good to be a white elephant gift. This is gonna be.
I don't care.
a
I just want
personal
people
gift.
to buy it, right? The economy. Yeah.
Hey, just so you know, I put that in the nest too. Etsy shop. Get your merch, guys. This is not a joke. Come on.
Yeah, serious. Lead by example, Justin Cates. All right.
I can't right now, but you know what?
Oh,
I'm painting soon.
fair enough. All right, Jason. Anything else here? Otherwise, Mark It
Nope.
Down has something he's requested to speak.
Nope, I'm good. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, thank
God
you,
bless.
Jason. Have a good day. Blessings to you, and go Irish. That is at IrishJTL on the Twitter here as I throw my pen on the floor. Let's go to Mark It Down at Holzum35. You've been invited to speak on the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Mark, are you there? At Holzum35.
I'm here. What up, family?
What up, family?
Hey, who misses Brian Polian on special teams?
No one. Not on this show.
Isn't that something?
Oh my gosh. It's amazing how you put some starters in there on, punt team, punt return team, I mean, we're actually returning punts. We actually are creating space for Brandon Joseph to return a punt. I don't care if it's 5 yards. I'd rather have 5 yards than a fair catch, right? That moves the ball down in distance, right?
Yeah, he just does a little move and he gets 5 yards. That's 5 extra yards starting the drive. I'll take it.
It's not a fair catch, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it makes sense to do a fair catch. Don't get me wrong, but it's like if you have the opportunity to return it and there's plenty of space for yourself to, why not? You can have a potential, opportunity to create better field position or hell, something greater than that. You
But we've
know.
seen in the past, you got 20 yards of clearance and you're fair catching it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not happening right now, which
Yes,
is great.
that's why it's
So they're coaching them properly. They're scheming and blocking up front appropriately to create some space for the return guy, and that's good. I'm a happy person today.
Oh, yeah. It was overall a good win. The no points in the first quarter, shocker. But the penalties in the first quarter was just driving me insane. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but good Lord. I don't know how many penalties we had going on.
There was at least 5 for 50 yards, at least. I saw that statistic pop up on, and then we ended up 7 penalties for 60 yards total. So they did straighten it up. Maybe they got an ass chewing at halftime or something, or the refs lightened up a little bit. One of the two. That's good. I mean, that they made a correction.
They scored on that first drive, but they had excellent field position because of those penalties, and But overall, defense played well. Tackling was still an issue, in my opinion. Those corners just whiffing on tackles. I don't know if they practice that, but corner tackling is terrible still. Drew Pine played okay. Obviously, the best quarterback in the building was the backup quarterback for Syracuse.
Oh, right. Tell me about it.
Unfortunately.
Well, it's so
Carlos
depressing.
Del Rio Wilson.
With the weird hyphen.
It's depressing that you see other teams have backups that can just go in and it's like nothing ever happened. Even they played better. Like how do teams like Syracuse get quarterbacks that can come in and just immediately move the ball down the field, and the University of Notre Dame cannot?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and we've kind of touched on this. We haven't deep dived and analyzed as to why and tried to provide some sort of explanation as to why Notre Dame doesn't have, great elite quarterbacks, and that's probably not the direction we want to go tonight. But I will say this is, Del Rio Wilson, whoever is doing the jerseys over at Syracuse, his hyphen was totally just awful, and ESPN is even screwed with it because Del Rio is hyphened and ESPN has Rio Wilson hyphened right now. We're looking at the stats and it's like one of them is wrong. It's either Syracuse's jersey people are wrong, but or ESPN. And it's probably ESPN. But I will say this is where the hyphen was in Del Rio Wilson. It probably was correct from a like the end of the bottom of the L. Yeah, the punctuation. But visually it looked totally too far close to the R, and I know this does not make good podcast content, but my point is anyone who saw that on the TV was like, why is that hyphen a little off? It looks kind of shitty, so I don't know.
Yeah. And back to the quarterback play, I think also Notre Dame over the years has failed, I think, to give the backup quarterback some nice reps and opportunities to come in there and show them what they have. Like you guys talked about, I think, was it on the Tuesday show, about how they have the perfect time to have your backup in there and play some reps with
your
Drew
quarterback
going
gets
into,
targeted and he's kind of shaken up. The medical staff is looking at him. Right.
Yeah, it's like there's which is good, that strong loyalty to the starting quarterback is good, but we're also trying to win games here, so.
And you don't there will be a point where if say Pine comes in or goes out with an injury, then Angeli comes in cold, right? And there's some potential issues with that, right? So, but Mark, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say that I applaud Drew for at least attempting to throw it to somebody else besides Michael Mayer today.
There you go.
I mentioned that to Joe. I said, man, it's so sad. I've been an Irish fan my whole life, and granted, I missed a few games here and there due to weddings and baptism stuff, but I was like, I don't know any of these receivers.
Well, and how could we, right? They're not really household names right now. I mean, other than Mayer, we thought, Lindsay would be it, or Styles, or, whatever, and it's like, no, we just really haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Jaden Thomas, of all people, is the only one with a touchdown grab, and he only had one catch. So,
Tobias almost came down with that one that they threw to him, though. If Drew Pine would have threw it like a second or two earlier, I think Tobias would have had that for a TD.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's receivers as a whole averaged 12.9 yards. Now, it's not as good as Syracuse's 14.1. But, yeah, I mean, on the ground, Notre Dame rushed 4.4 yards as a team versus Syracuse's 2.4. Now, pop quiz to you, Mark. Syracuse, their rushing yards. Do you know how many they had total this game? Truth or lie? Hey, let me break it this way.
I'm gonna say it's under 30.
It's not that bad.
For running backs, or
as a team, they rushed for 61 yards as a team. Notre Dame
quarterback scrambles.
Yeah, Notre Dame 246. 246
Beautiful.
versus 61. Hey, sign me up for that every flipping day.
And that 4.4 average is awesome too. Like that.
Sure.
Once again, going back to that old school, you run it every down and you get
It's
3
not
yards
sexy,
every
it's
down.
not
You
exciting,
go
but
fourth down every
Notre
time.
Dame doesn't have to be sexy right now,
That's
right? Like
you need to win ball games.
We're not going to make a New Year's Six, right? You know, we'll be lucky with the Poinsettia Bowl or Las Vegas Bowl at this point, and that's not to be defeatist. I mean, in theory, mathematically, it's probable we could.
And we better crush the opponent too.
Well, I would love for them to do that,
running-
but I'm just saying, like realistically, where Notre Dame is right now, and Marcus Freeman's first season, we're not going to a big name bowl game. That's fine, but Notre Dame, you know, kicks ass, takes Stanford's name. We're one game away from being bowl eligible, so that's good. This is a huge win. You know, Notre Dame has potential to be at least, I would argue, quote unquote, worst case scenario right now. I'm not doing too much prediction. 7-5. I think Clemson. I think it's fair to say that Clemson is still a tall order. USC is still a tall order, but Navy and BC are decent victories. And I was honestly saying to the doc the other day during the week, and I was like, you know, I think Notre Dame 6-6 is statistically and probably most likely based off of the numbers and what we do on Tuesday nights. And Notre Dame comes out and surprises even me. And that just shows that even the numbers can, you know, just not, you know, always tell the whole story. And that's just kind of where Notre Dame is right now.
Yeah, we got to stick to our strength, which is running the ball. No one wants to be that team right now, but that is our strength. We got to keep running the ball while sprinkling a couple of downfield passes in there every once in a while. You saw it today when Tommy passed on first down. That's when we got into trouble. So keep running the ball on first and second down. Get those third downs with short yardage to go, and we'll be all right. Now, looking ahead to next week, I'm thinking this Clemson game is looking a whole lot better because Clemson struggled with them. Clemson struggled with that team that we just played, and we just dominated them. So
yeah.
I'm looking.
Syracuse look confused.
Ahead.
They look like shell shocked. Like, I wish I had taken a picture of it, but there was when we got the pick 6 at the beginning of the game, that's when we flipped the TV over here at the Fighting Irish Faithful House, and like there was it's one of those things like the Virginia game when we beat Virginia and you know, with a Deshaun Kaiser pass to Will Fuller, right? You got Virginia fans falling over the brick wall. You know, when Michigan State, you know, blocked a punt and returned it for a victory back in the day, which go Spartans tonight. Every Notre Dame fan hopefully is a Spartan fan tonight, not a Michigan fan. So suck that, Michigans. But anyway,
did Ohio State win? I left before Ohio
State
finished.
They ended up destroying Penn State at the end. So it is what it is. But what I will say is that, yeah, I mean, Notre Dame coming out and doing well and looking good against Syracuse, a team that's better ranked, you know, and like this is the kind of shit that we would ride Kelly's ass for. You know, you go to someone else's house. Look, Notre Dame was favored, quote unquote, to lose by 3 points today, and we won by 17.
Yeah, that's great. It's 17. It's the spreads this year. I like to put a 20 spot or something on Notre Dame usually, and man, this year has been so hard.
You actually put money on Notre Dame?
Just a 20 spot. Nothing,
just 20?
Nothing big.
Does your wife know this?
Oh, she knows.
Does she? Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. All right. That's anyway, a healthy marriage right now.
Yeah. Anyway, it's covering spread, they're just so unpredictable at this point. Like, it was a great win, and I want to be really positive, and I'm love the victory, but man, who knows what we're gonna get when Clemson comes around, and even when Navy comes, and we don't know what kind of team we're gonna put out there at this point.
So you're saying like you feel good about this game, you're happy with the outcome, but it's like you really don't know what to expect. Like there's nothing predictable. Like last year, I think when we played Georgia Tech, like we knew we were gonna kill them, right?
Right.
Like maybe BC. Like we feel a little confident, maybe a little bit with Navy, but I mean it's Navy. They're a little scrappy and they can be really focused at times. But yeah, some of these other games, it's just like
I mean, if you come out and
go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, go ahead.
Say you're feeling good about this win, but you also know what's coming up. We know that this wasn't a traditional football game because we could have just manhandled them all day. Clemson's USC is not going to be like that. We're actually going to have to pass in those two games.
Yeah.
So that's where the uneasiness comes in because we know we're going to have to pass. This game was not a traditional football game. We could have done the same thing over and over and over again, which we did. That's why we won. But, we're going to have to figure out the passing game this week for Clemson. Now, with this offense, you guys were talking.
Oh, sorry, Mark. I accidentally muted you. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
What you guys are saying about how we couldn't get good quarterbacks earlier? Well, we've traditionally been a run-heavy offense for as long as I can remember. So why would a quarterback, a five-star quarterback, want to come here just to hand the ball off,
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, and you're not wrong when you say that. We want to have the great quarterbacks at Notre Dame. I would argue we haven't had a quote-unquote elite quarterback since Deshaun Kaiser. Yes, I like Ian Book, but let's face it, he's not elite. Deshaun Kaiser was,
I don't even consider Kaiser elite.
I don't either.
I mean
Kaiser, I think physically had the tools, just the stats and the win-loss record, I think it got the best of him, right? I let me put it this way. Golson had probably really good numbers as far as win-loss, but I think Kaiser was a better talent than Golson, right? I'll just put it that way.
Let's not underestimate the challenge of recruiting a high school quarterback as well. I mean, you look at who's playing prime time in the NFL right now. They're coming from universities across the board. You know what I mean? It's not like they're coming from the same
Wyoming,
college every year. Yeah, they're all over the board. And I think Notre Dame is pulling in, well, maybe not this year, but they've pulled in some good talent. It's maybe it's a coaching thing, maybe it's a developmental thing, or maybe it's just one of those things where you get so many good quarterbacks, decent quarterbacks in there, and it just doesn't work out in your scheme. Who knows?
My thought of this is that, like, today I feel more confident in Reese as an offensive coordinator just based off of, look, what do you have in the toolbox? This is what we're going to use. Okay, but him as a quarterback coach, maybe I'm a little more hesitant. So I would prefer Freeman leave. We don't have to jump ahead too far here, but if Reese stays, I would prefer this. Leave Reese, if he stays, leave him as the offensive coordinator, but move a different coach in as the quarterback coach to coach these guys up. That's one man's opinion. That's really that's like a foreshadowing of an episode we'll do in the future here. But like, frankly, Reese hasn't developed anyone, from Winbush to the present. So
and he can't call plays either. So
he hasn't.
What are you talking about? He like ran the ball 75% of the time when we won the game, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to complain
took him
about that.
7 weeks or something.
Well, that's true, but I mean, we got a winning record,
Yes.
So. All right, Mark, we're stacked on people. We're going to jump over to David, who's kindly requested Kevin Davis, Adam Dowling, Stevie D, Irish, Hockey Man, Bohemia. There's tons of people we want to get to. Mark, thank you for joining us, joining the Fighting Irish Faithful show at Holzum35 on the Twitter. Thank you very much. We're going to jump over to David here. David Barnett at David Barnett MVP. You've been invited to speak. Go ahead and hit the pink button in the lower left-hand corner. David, welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful show.
What's up, guys? How are you? No, I mean, listen, a win's a win, right? You gotta, and it's a win on the road. I just think I'm looking more at the defense today. Like, it's just, I think we're so much better without blitzing. I don't know if we've talked about it. I kind of just jumped on, but like, I'd like to see a percentage of like positive plays when Notre Dame blitzes versus negative plays. I feel like we get enough with the 4-man front. We don't need the blitz, and our blitz is so slow every play. It hasn't changed.
So you're saying that the risk of blitzing, because you get some of your guys out of position to get into the backfield of the offense, the risk outweighs the reward?
I think. I mean, every time we've been blitzing, it's one-on-one with our safeties and DBs, and it's not, it hasn't been working. I actually think that's part of the problem with our red zone defense. And I think, like, if we just play the 4-man front or even a 3-man front, we're getting in just as fast as when we're bringing 6, and it seems like we haven't. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but it sure doesn't seem like we're making positive plays when we blitz, does it?
Well, I'll say it just depends on who you're playing. If you got a high-powered offense, and maybe you need to blitz them more to make up for the secondary, because maybe your secondary is lacking against your receivers.
I mean, you need to create some sense of urgency on the defensive side to, stick it to the offense so they don't get too comfortable back there, right?
Yeah. I think there's a balance to it. So were you unhappy with the you said you were unhappy with the amount of blitzing tonight?
Yeah, I just think when we blitz, I mean all season it seems like when we blitz, I feel like we're getting in just as fast with 4 guys than we are with bringing 5 or 6, and it feels like the linebackers aren't getting there quick enough. You're almost better off just like play your regular defense. I mean, because if you saw like the first touchdown, obviously the DB didn't go inside. He should have, but I'm just saying it's one-on-one. He's 6'5". You know what I mean? Like he's gonna beat him every time. And then like even like the couple of plays, I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a couple of 3rd down plays where it's like if you just play straight up, like you'll be fine. And I think that's part of the reason why our red zone defense is the worst in the country, which is crazy. It's the worst in the country. So it's like I think there's something. I think that's part of the big issue on defense. It's just that we're fine 20-20, but then when they get in the red zone, it's not good enough. And it's like, why is it not good enough? And I think it's because we're bringing too much heat. I really do, because I just don't think we're getting there fast enough. Like I don't remember the last like sack from a linebacker. It seems like it's still the D lineman, regardless.
Yeah, Notre Dame's red zone defense. I think that's something to talk about here. We're pulling it up here. This is not a stat I usually track here, so we'll look it up.
You don't want to look it up. Trust me.
I just did, and I'm really upset. So Notre Dame's scoring defense as a whole is 100%. It is tied with Rutgers. It is worse than Colorado State and New Mexico and Northern Illinois. Sad, Boise State's there. Anyone who doesn't know, Boise State is my number 2 team. If I had a number 2 team,
Mount West is horrendous this year.
It's because I used to block for somebody.
You like their color?
I do like the blue field. I will say that. But no, Notre Dame it allows their opponents 100% scoring in the red zone on defense, which is atrocious. Brutal. And then they're second to last in touchdowns scoring in the red zone, 82%. So that ain't good. Maybe we should add this to the spreadsheet. I actually have not done this analysis relative to national champions. So
yeah, I mean, you look at, it's amazing. That's why it's funny. It's like it almost, when you have those stats, it doesn't matter who you're playing. Like you really, if you're bad at both those, it's shocking that they only have a couple losses, to be honest with you. So I think that's why like the fluky Marshall and Stanford games, and then it's even the Ohio State game, it was so close because you're playing fine the 20-20. It's all, but the red zones are both, hideous. So it's like, how do you fix that? And I think, the way, the running game today was great. And I think that fixes it. But I just think like we got to be more, just got to be better on defense in the red zone. It's almost like, I'm not saying they quit. No one quits. It's a stupid thing to say, but it's almost like they give up. It's like crazy because the defense is better than what they're doing in the red zone. We all know this, but why is it so bad?
Well, and I will say this to kind of round things out here, and maybe why this has not been brought up until the present. Yes, Notre Dame is tied or is the worst in scoring percentage in the red zone in all of college football. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. They are ranked 13th in the country in attempts of their opponents in the red zone.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So like
break it down.
You know, if their opponent gets to the red zone, they score points every time. But if Notre Dame keeps them out of the red zone, right? They've only done that 17 times total all season.
Right. Okay.
Right? And so they're 13th in the country. You know, they're tied with, ironically, Marshall and NC State. You know, and believe it or not, Syracuse is above them.
But the big dogs are Georgia and Illinois.
Georgia's number 1. Illinois, you know, Ohio State, right? Michigan.
So why do you guys think? Why do you think when they cross the 20, we have trouble?
I would think their backs are undersized this year, aren't they? They don't have big beefy backers that can fill holes, fill gaps.
Kevin Davis is on here, you know, I mean, I'm sure he would say that it's a combination of linebackers out of play, out of position. And yes, we kind of threw JD Bertrand a bone in the last show. So anyone who missed that, we kind of went through statistically and looked at how he was successful, but not as good as, say, I don't know, the Manti Te'os and Tavon Coneys of yore, right? As far as productivity of tackles per se. But Notre Dame as a whole, you know, look, their defense is not terrible, guys. Like, yes, you know, David, you're bringing us honest and bringing some new stats to light, which we love. We love stats on this podcast. And anyone who wants to challenge me, I'm totally cool with that. You know, bring facts and information. I will never argue with it. But Notre Dame, from a defensive standpoint, you know, total defense going into this game, we're 30th in the country, 61st in rushing defense, not great. You know, rushing defense, 35th in the country. You know, so we're not even top 25 in these things. You know, but hey, you know, tackles for loss, you know, we're doing okay. So,
right. I just think like if you cut that number in half, besides you only have one loss, but also like now your defense is a top 15, top 20 defense, which we were thinking, you know, we had after the Ohio State game. But so, I mean, like that, you know, I don't know, you know, again, it's like, why does that keep happening? But if they could obviously fix that, that would be huge, I think. And you obviously got to check the tape and everything. But I swear, man, when we blitz, and I know you can't, you have to blitz sometimes, but when we blitz, it just doesn't, we're not getting there fast enough. And then I think the other thing, too, on offense, I would love to look at, like, and it worked today against Syracuse, but, like, you know, when we go under center, I love that first play. Gave it to the fullback, you know, technically on the first play from scrimmage, you know, the first drive. Those 3rd and inches, second, you know, go under center. I love that play with 88, you know, the tight end where you just literally do. Like, how many times have we gotten it this year? We're 5 for 5, I think, with under center in 3rd and inches, and I guarantee you our percentage is worse in shotgun. It's like I'd love to be under center, you know, like why would stay under center?
Yeah.
When it's that play, not all the time, obviously.
That is the symphony of this podcast here.
Either.
What's that?
Under the center is not sexy.
No, well, in kind of a weird way it is, but like no, but seriously, like look, running the football under center it's all about timing, right? Your O-line knows the count. Your running backs, your fullback, whatever, they all know the count. They hear the quarterback bark it out, and we have that advantage. And then it's about a time and distance situation. And, you know, everyone's fast because you're at this elite, you know, college level. And so when you have the ball, you don't hike it back as far, and therefore your running back doesn't have to run as far, right? So it's a timing and distance problem, right? If you want to take a kind of a more scientific approach to it. And so you're getting it. You don't have to wait for the play to develop. And so that's why I am a fan of going under center, right? Because like, and furthermore, like I won't say this, you know, but as far as like likelihood of a miss snap or whatnot, but this is something every quarterback should know how to do, is receive a snap under center,
Yeah, and plus your running back has momentum when he gets the ball right at the line of scrimmage.
Right, because like we see like
before the defense
the quarterback and the running back, Estime is like standing right next to him. Now, thank God that Jesus has blessed him with the ability of fast afterburners as soon as he gets the ball.
Big arms, big legs.
Yeah, and then some. But like my point is, and big stiff arms, right? Especially in this game.
Forearms.
Forearms. He's got strong forearms. All right. Anyways.
But like we don't have to be pretty. Just run.
No.
Next week's gonna be tougher. What you guys said, I agree with. Where
Notre Dame did not win any sexy trophies this game, but we won the game, and that's all that matters. Going to someone else's house in the big, it's not the what's the dome called? The something cellular.
They changed
bleacher seat dome.
It's not the Carrier Dome. It used to be formerly known as the Carrier Dome. Notre Dame goes in there and quite frankly, bitch slapped Syracuse. I'm gonna flat out say it. They bitch slapped Syracuse. They got humbled. Syracuse is fucked the rest of the season. They're out the rest of the season. Notre Dame's got the momentum now. Syracuse falls to 6-2. Notre Dame's 5-3, and they're gonna look like the better team coming out of this.
And then hopefully, like you said, next week with Clemson. I know what you guys are saying is like we can't just run the ball against Clemson. It's going to be tough, but like I'm okay with just
maybe we can. Maybe we can.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I'm saying. No. If we ran it 30, 40 times and threw it 20, we have a much better chance of if we threw it 35 times and ran it 20. We're not going to beat Clemson.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
And also, maybe this ties into what you're talking about with the blitzing problem. Mm-hmm. The secondary, that second half, man, they gave up a lot of open lanes on some big plays. And Notre Dame caught some breaks there, too, with some drop balls and whatnot. And so maybe that's one of the issues with that kind of pairs with that blitzing is the corners have to cover for a short amount of time when they blitz. But if they can't hold that coverage, then there's going to be wide open plays. So maybe there's that correlation there as well where the cornerbacks need to hold just a half a second longer. And they got to make sure they get to the quarterback when they do blitz.
Right. They won, so we could go back and look at it. I mean, when they lose, it's hard to watch the game again. But I'm telling you, watch the game again and watch how much room he has to throw to when they don't blitz. It really looked like there weren't many open places. And then when Notre Dame blitzes, and I know what you're saying, he's got to get the ball out faster, this and that. But I really feel like when they blitz, it's not that much faster than the 4-man rush, which means it shows you our D-line is really good at that. I'm not saying like tackling and everything's different. Yeah. And I just wish like every college football, you watch it week in, week out, the corners tackling is just not good. But it's like, man, if we learn how to, everyone could say this, but if we learn how to tackle, how many like 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s we give up because of missed tackles? Like it's so brutal. And if you can break those up,
I think if we clean that up, we're in a better shape. Well, David,
Thanks, guys.
We're tons of people got to go on. I really appreciate you joining us tonight. I think this is the first time you join us at David Barnett, MVP of the Fighting Irish Faithful podcast. You are the MVP of the podcast tonight. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy. See
Kevin,
you guys.
Kevin, I see you want to join. We're going to jump over to Stevie D Irish just because we got a time difference here and we want to be respectful of him. And quite frankly, he's bringing a unique perspective of watching this game uniquely. Stevie D Irish on the Twitter. We've invited you to speak if you can't so wish to join us on the Fighting Irish. It's evening for you. It's afternoon here on the East Coast. If not, we'll jump over to Kevin Davis. One thing I wanted to point out that David raised is how the completion percentage of Syracuse was worse than Notre Dame. Yes, Drew Pine, not very good, but Syracuse was even worse. Stevie, are you there?
Hi, how's it going?
Man, dude, I was not expecting this kind of a podcast this afternoon. I will say that.
Yeah, you and me both for sure. It was unexpected. I didn't get to see all of it, unfortunately. I was working a bit this evening, and it's amazing for me because I never miss games because they're always on, later at night or whatever. But kick off at 5 p.m. for me is a real treat.
Absolutely. Now for the people who are new to the show, Steve, you want to give people a quick brief on your background? You don't have to go into the whole story, but because anyone who's really savvy will go back to an earlier episode. But exactly, like what's your backstory for the new people on the show, or my co-host here in the studio?
Well, I suppose my story is I'm a Notre Dame fan since I give or take a few months or potentially even up to a year after the game. And it delayed, it was a good few months at least after that a friend of mine had the game. I watched it on DVD, and ever since
this is the Bush push game, right?
Notre Dame for life. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was indeed.
Beautiful.
And you reside where?
In
Oh, you're kind of cutting out. You want to repeat that? Oh, I think the enemy wishes not for you to speak, but not for Stevie. We'll wait for your Twitter to come back. Stevie D Irish is joining us live from Ireland. I may have the specifics.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. That's much better.
Yeah. I'm actually over at my brother's house. He lives right on the coast. So phone signal here is not as good as other places.
No problem. No problem.
Do you have a lot of Irish fans in the area? Do you got someone to watch the game with, give high fives and whatnot?
No, I don't. Donal, he lives about an hour away from, 2 hours actually. So we discuss the game a lot, and we'd be texting back and forth. But unless it's a big game like a bowl game or something, it make too much of an effort to meet up.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: anyone who's going to the game in Ireland next year, Stevie D Irish, I think you've already committed on this show. Well, not on this show, but you've claimed that you are intending to go to the game. If anyone's a fan of the Fighting Irish Faithful show, I highly encourage you to reach out to Stevie, unless Stevie is really private, and then maybe I should just stop talking. But
no, definitely hit me up.
Secret celebrity.
Hit me up for sure. It'd be great to
the paparazzi.
hang
Yeah,
around.
but no, seriously, you've been a very loyal fan of the podcast, and we greatly appreciate your perspective as a fan in Ireland. How cool is that you can with the power of the internet and the power of Twitter, we can connect across the ocean here as Fighting Irish Faithful fans, and that feels really good after a win like today. The Irish on the road at Syracuse were the underdog. Other than the Ohio State game, this was the least quote unquote likely chance of victory for Notre Dame so far this season. And Notre Dame was favored to lose by 3 points, and we win, and that's got to feel really good, right?
It does feel really good. It was for a lot of aspects of the game, it was quite impressive. I wonder how much Syracuse were beaten up after last week, which definitely helped Notre Dame, I think. Again, I spoke about it the last time I spoke to you. I'm extremely concerned with our quarterback situation. It's just, I like Drew Pine. He's, anytime I hear him speak, he comes across as a nice guy. He obviously loves Notre Dame. He's a nice person. And even in the commentary, I know, yeah, the commentary today, they were saying, how himself and Tommy Rees, they're really good buddies and all that. I have to say I hated hearing that, because it's how for Angeli not to get any chance or any run was unforgivable in my eyes. And again, I didn't see the last few minutes of the game because I was driving, but I don't think Angeli got any run today, did he? Or
no, I don't think Angeli got any. He certainly didn't get any passes, and he doesn't make any runs, right?
I feel like the relationship there is. Oh, sorry.
You're okay. Fine, talk away.
I have like nightmares of this relationship with Drew Pine and Tommy Reese.
Yeah.
Like when he was the quarterback at Notre Dame, when Tommy Reese was the quarterback, how frustrating it was. I'm like, get him off the field. I was so angry. It's like, no, he's being petted and groomed and who knows what else by his coaches. Like he's gonna keep the role, and it's like, oh man, maybe this is just like Tommy Reese's. Like he's like, oh, they did it to me, so I'm gonna do it with Drew Pine.
Well, and what's interesting,
that's exactly what it seems like.
What's interesting is that Tommy Reese in his final season at Notre Dame, he threw the ball 3,257 yards and averaged 14.5 yards per completion. His attempts per game was about 31, and that's kind of relatively early-ish in the Kelly years. But he averaged 250 yards a game passing, which is really good. Now rushing, let's not talk about that, because he's got lead feet. But I think the thing with Reese is that his touchdown to attempt ratio was not very good. It was only about 6.5%. So that's not so good. But what I will say, and I don't have the stat right in front of me, it's buried here in the spreadsheet, is if I recall from memory, Reese was sacked very, very little in the 2013 season. He was smart enough and aware enough as a quarterback to, when you're under pressure, just throw it away. And so Notre Dame was one of the best teams in all of college football that year. Reese's final year as a player of avoiding sacks and tackles for loss, which is a good thing. So it is a good thing.
Absolutely,
I mean that season as a whole was totally different from where 2012 was and where 2014 potentially could have been. Yeah. Well, Stevie, anything else going to this Clemson game, or you just want to enjoy the victory and then we'll think about Clemson another night?
Yeah, we enjoyed the victory. I think props to the offensive line. I think they gave Drew Pine all day to throw the ball today. It was like he had so much time and space on so many occasions to get the ball out and pick a good pass. Now, he didn't do it all the time. He did, in fairness, he was that touchdown towards the end of the second quarter was some passes, and if he could be a bit more consistent, you'd say something, but he misses so many, easy, or what appear to me to be easy passes anyway.
Yeah, he had one.
But the running game is great.
Sorry,
that's true. Yeah.
No, I mean, the running game is really good. 75%, as far as total plays, we're going to run the ball 75% of the time. And I mean, that's a little high, it's like, wow, it's okay. But I mean, look, we rushed the ball 246 yards. It's gosh, was that the best all of the season? It wasn't the best. The best was against North Carolina, so second best. But still, okay. I mean, what happened in the North Carolina game? We won, and convincingly we won.
One of their best ones.
Yeah. I think this Syracuse game and the North Carolina game, maybe that says something about our ACC opponents and our ACC schedule.
Oh, come on now.
But I'm just saying, look, Notre Dame looks good on the road running the football, and that's a good thing to have. Oh, did we lose Stevie? Oh no, did Twitter just crap out on us? Oh man,
my headphones are popping.
I think it just did. Oh shit. We'll try to bring the people back on. Oh snap! All right, so I'm gonna have to edit this all out.
Well, since you're editing it out, I'll give you a hot take. Tommy Reese sucked as a quarterback. He was a shame and a disgrace.
Yeah, but I mean, like in 2013, what more can we do? All right, sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Twitter kind of cut us out. I don't know what we did. Maybe there's a limit of an hour and a half on Twitter Space here, but Mark It Down is back here, and yeah, there's no one here in the Fighting Irish Faithful show.
Womp, womp, womp.
I know, it's just what happens here.
Now you get to listen to us.
Well, I know, and that's the thing. So, all right, Kevin's back. Kevin's jumped on. So, thank you everyone for your patience. Kevin Davis, you've been invited to speak. Sorry, Stevie D Irish. We don't know what happened there. Twitter kind of killed us. So, Kevin Davis, welcome back to the Fighting Irish Faithful show.
Hello.
Hey, don't know what happened there, but glad you were able to find us and jump back on.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I just restarted.
Well, what do you think of this game? I mean, Notre Dame looked convincingly victorious and decent, right?
Yeah, I wanted to jump on when David was talking about the linebackers because you guys know how I feel about linebackers and linebacker play for Notre Dame. And I think he's right to an extent. You can blitz yourself out of a game, and you notice that when we were doing it, Syracuse started hitting those holes right behind us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a balance to that blitzing. And I don't know if Notre Dame's found it yet. Hopefully they find it and know when that should occur. But yeah, I do agree that sometimes we blitz at points of times where we don't need to. But as far as the game, I thought it was a great game. I thought we played well. I'm glad there was truly a Brandon Joseph sighting, right?
Yes.
I feel like we were expecting him to be something great when he first decided to transfer. And this game showed what he could be and what we expected. Haven't really seen much of him this year besides that. So that was great to see offensively. Like I said last week, Dupine has to find. I mean, the other receivers have to be better, but Dupine has to find somebody besides Michael Mayer to throw the ball to. They're seeing it. They're keying on it. They're bracketing Mayer. Like, it's hard for him to get past now. So it's just easier to defend now. So I'm glad we kept the ball on the ground. Pound it. If we can't do anything in the air, like, our ground game is sufficient. It can take us far. So
you're of a similar opinion where, look, if the run game is there and the passing game is potentially not there, look, just take what you have in the cupboard. The run game is there. Use it and use it well.
Yeah, because what happens is, if your run game is dominating throughout the game, what happens is the defense start pulling people into the box to stop the run. That gives opportunity to pass the ball more and make there more open windows now because there's more people in the box. And maybe that can help. So I feel like that helped a little bit, not much, but if it's there, I will run the ball every down if it's there.
Mm-hmm. And that's that whole cause and effect thing. It's so with that linebacker thing that we were just talking about. Do you think that blitzing is not working out? Do you think it's a secondary not holding on long enough, or do you think it's the backers not being able to get to the quarterback fast enough?
They can't get there. They're not getting there.
Gotcha.
They're not getting there. It's hard to watch because I play linebacker and I coach them and I train them. It's like if you're going to go, the point is to make as least contact as possible with other players, right? The offensive players.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they run directly into the block. Like, that's not the point of blitzing, right? Or if you do shed it and let's go play ball, like, they get stuck. And, like, I need one of them to just get through and, like, do a move, rip through and try to go play the ball. It's like they just get to a body and they just pause. Like, it's hard to watch sometimes. But I feel like the DBs do need to do better holding their covers, right? Of course, I mean, we all know defensively that's probably, well, this year I would say it's a second weekly. I think linebackers are not playing well this year. But usually, typically for Notre Dame, our defensive backs are the weak link, right? So we know that's a problem area. So it can be a combination of both.
I'm just really happy to see Notre Dame limit Syracuse. You know, it got a little concerning in the third quarter where Syracuse scores 10 points versus Notre Dame's 3 in the third quarter. But in the fourth quarter, Notre Dame lays it on 17 points versus their 7. But holding Syracuse to no points in the second quarter with Notre Dame scoring 14 in the second quarter. Man, going into halftime with a big lead, that's huge.
Yeah, I just feel annoyed in a way because it's like why do we play so well against ranked teams but we can't beat Marshall and Cat? Like, we can beat ranked teams but can't beat these other. Like, I don't get it. Like, what's going on?
Truth.
Like, what's going on?
This is where, you know, we're just beating our head against the desk and we're just like, why, you know?
Yeah.
It's like for a few years there, I thought God was a USC fan, you know, like that's kind of what my thought was, you know, during the Pete Carroll years. But like, yeah, let's just like, why can't we have this great win over a team, or we get really close against Ohio State and then we play a clearly inferior team in Marshall and we just crap all over ourselves, you know, and it's just not good.
Yeah,
it's a blown out diaper and there's poop flying and sideways, you know.
You need to get a new package of wipes to clean up the mess.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's when you audible your spouse from the other room. It's just like, I need a spotter. I need to hold in a leg and an arm, and you need to wipe. You know, just like because poop will be everywhere. Okay.
So to leave that shit show.
Anyone who has had or does have kids, you know exactly what we're talking about. So,
but that's frustration because now we have BC and Navy coming up, and you worry like, I mean, we have Syracuse, we have not Syracuse, Clemson. Then when we get to BC and Navy, it's like, are we just going to play down to their level and lose the two teams we should beat again? Like, is it just this boomerang? This effect where it's like, okay, great teams we play well, terrible teams we suck.
And we've really Syracuse is ranked 16th, but they're not a well-established program by any means. And so really, if you look at the schedule, USC's been down the last few years. And you have Ohio State and Clemson, I think, are the big dogs on the schedule if you're looking at it from week one.
Yeah, Clemson ranked 10th in Sagarin right now. We're looking at it right now.
Yeah, and so you came off of a close game week one in Ohio State. Like, what kind of positives? I mean, at this point, we're a completely different team. I mean, it typically happens that way. I mean, your team evolves and changes. So where do we go? What's our biggest high notes on this?
I mean, one thing I wanna, and I thought of this earlier in the week after we did the podcast on Tuesday. I was kind of thinking of Brian Kelly's first season, not in the sense of like praising Brian Kelly, but just kind of, you know, this is what it is. And I remember in 2010, the season kind of turned around for Brian Kelly after the Tulsa game. And then we played, I think, Utah, and we beat a ranked team at home, and it was completely different. And it was like, wow, what's this? You know, and the season got progressively better. And then we ended up at the end of the game, you know, having a very, very good win in the Sun Bowl against Miami, and Miami kind of, you know, pissed down their own leg, you know, because they had way too many turnovers. Thank you, Hervinus. Thank you, Harrison Smith. But seriously, like, maybe this is a turning point for the Irish, you know, and I don't want to count any chickens before any eggs hatch. But what I will say is seeing Notre Dame go and play a ranked team, beat a ranked team, and beat them soundly, similarly to how Notre Dame did that in 2010. I mean, it was fantastic. You know, Notre Dame beating Utah by 25 points, 28-3 that year, and then beating Army, beating USC, beating Miami. You know, it was just win to go into that game. Now, unfortunately, we started 2011 with 2 losses at home to South Florida and Michigan, so we don't really want to talk about that. But my point is, like, look, like, you know, we knew it was going to take a little bit of time for Marcus Freeman to hit his stride. We knew it was going to take time for this team after the Marshall game to kind of figure some shit out. And Notre Dame looked better, like, quite frankly, like, superior to Syracuse today. I was like, anyone who saw on Twitter, I tweeted out, who is this team? This is the best they've looked all year. Like genuinely, like they are shutting down. Either Syracuse does not deserve to be ranked 16th, which is probably a little bit of truth to
I
that.
think that's more the thing.
Or are we just, tainted Notre Dame fans where we're kind of negative, like, well, we're just kind of playing above the rim. I don't know.
Shoot, I think it's a little bit of both. I think we came out and played today. We saw the good side of the team, and we've seen the bad side. And we saw the Ohio State.
I mean, it helps
game
getting a pick
team.
6 at the beginning of this game, right?
Yeah, but we caught a lot of breaks. We were a pretty sloppy team all around, to be honest. And I don't think that sort of shit's gonna fly against Clemson next week. I know we're not talking about Clemson now; we're talking about Syracuse, and I think it was a good win. But I think we got a lot of breaks in this game.
Yeah, I think Syracuse kind of peed down their leg, and we kind of thought that after they lost to Clemson that there was potential for Syracuse to have a breakdown and kind of implode upon themselves because they kind of did that with Clemson. And, with Notre Dame coming in, another big-name team, and Clemson kind of showing their true colors here and saying, well, this is kind of who they are and, not looking good. And, Notre Dame was victorious. So, Kevin, last thoughts, and then we're going to try to hit Adam and Hockey Man to close this out. If not...
Oh, that's a great game, man. A great game, but I just wanted to continue for these next 4.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us at Davis0560 on the Twitter. Thank you for joining again and contributing to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. Adam, I see you there. We're going to jump over to Hockey Dude 8487 next on the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. We'll jump to him next. You've been invited to speak. Hockey Dude, are you there? Hello. If not, we're going to jump over to Adam. Adam is requested to speak. He's invited to speak. He's ready to speak. Oh, Hockey Dude's there. Adam, maybe both of you will speak. We don't really do this.
Guys, you guys hear me?
I hear Hockey Dude. I hear Adam. Both of you talk. Not at the same time, hopefully.
What's up, Jets?
What's up?
Hola.
Hola.
Hey, man.
Hockey
How
Dude,
good will we be? How good will we be if Tyler Buckner getting hurt and the offensive line was better?
Oh, these are those.
Don't take shots at the O line like that. Come on, they're good.
I mean, the O line is significantly better now than what they were early in the season, and I tweeted that out. I forget who it was. It was some thread, and it was talking about the quarterbacks and whatnot, and I was just like, consider this. It's kind of like one of those would you rather type questions, and I was like, what if the O-line was better the first couple games? Because I am convinced that if the O-line was better in that Marshall game, Buckner wouldn't even be hurt because he wouldn't be rushing the ball. He'd be handing it off or he'd be passing. He'd have time to pass, right? And that's just kind of my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Maybe I misspoke, but, you look at this team, if the O-line was good from the beginning and Tyler Buckner doesn't get hurt, I'm looking at, you could be looking at a 6-1 team right now.
Yeah, I think the O-line has been good, but they just had some chemistry issues that I think they've worked out. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
I mean, if we want to just compare O-lines of Notre Dame versus Syracuse in this game, we were sacked once in this game and had 4 tackles for loss against us. So those are the successes of the Syracuse defense. Now, Notre Dame's defense was significantly, arguably 100%, actually 400% better. We had 4 sacks against the quarterback of Syracuse, and we had 8 tackles for loss. So significantly better for Notre Dame over Syracuse. So our strength and our talent is clearly dominating in this game.
a lot of that's telling to the run game as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm not. Like I said, I think I misspoke earlier, but I'm just saying that you imagine what this team would have been with all that stuff. I think you're looking at if you look at like TCU, we could be TCU this year because TCU, from what I've seen, doesn't have a great offense at all. So,
I mean, they're making some noise right now. You know, I don't really follow TCU. You know, they're my second darling is of course Boise State, but I mean they beat West Virginia today. I mean, Grant, West Virginia is now 3-5. You know, but TCU is undefeated, right? So, you know, with a new head coach, so good on them. You know. But yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's victorious, and you know,
I also agree. That pass protection was something out of the ordinary this week. I think for Drew Pine to be able to hold the ball for what seemed like a century was something new.
Despite the fact that he had not a great completion percentage.
Well, despite the fact he threw the ball away.
I mean, it was better than Syracuse,
but he had time tonight.
I mean, it was 47%, you know, right now in the season. You know, the best I think it's been all season was against BYU, which is kind of surprising. But Mayer kind of exploded in that game, right? You know, and I think that's pretty typical. And I would be shocked if defenses against Notre Dame would not key in on Mayer. Clearly take away Notre Dame's best weapon on the receiving side. Yeah, man, that's just what decent teams do, you know, and we can expect Clemson to have kind of a similar
all night.
Yeah, well, they're gonna bracket him and whatnot, you know, and yeah, it's just gonna happen. So,
imagine if we actually successfully recruited Max Duggan right now.
Yeah, you know what?
Who's Max Duggan?
I don't know. I was hoping Hockey Dude would tell us that.
He's the QB for TCU.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and
we recruited him back in the day.
I mean, I'll be honest. You know, like recruiting with me is kind of a quote unquote new thing. You know, just because there's so many factors that influence recruiting. You know, anything from how close it is from your hometown to, you know, do you want to join an actual university and have to go to class or join a football factory? Is it, you know, weather dependent? Is it, you know, proximity to home? You know, all sorts of things.
It's not all, and on top of all of it, you're talking about personal interaction, what they think about everything.
Right. You know, like maybe I don't give two shits about Notre Dame. You know, that's a very reasonable, you know, response for any recruit. You know, it's just like, Notre Dame who? You know, like, you haven't won a championship since when? You know, and like, and don't get me wrong, you know, like, we're Notre Dame fans and we love that kind of stuff, but like, if we just jump to the here and now, like, there's so many factors that influence recruiting. But I will say this, there is nothing more important for recruiting than winning. Just win. If you are winning titles, success attracts more success, right? If you want to be the best, you join the best because you want to succeed with the best. The reason why Alabama gets all these good players, not because Tuscaloosa is this great place. I mean, grant the weather's probably a little better than Notre Dame, but look, they have a great coach who keeps winning.
Saban doesn't have a magical powder juice that he makes them sniff when they go on recruiting trails.
Oh, he doesn't do that?
You would think he would.
You would think, yeah.
But no, that's winning.
No, he keeps winning, right?
He's winning and winning and winning.
Well, and that's the thing. Like Jake Coker and like some of these other quarterbacks he's had back in the day. It was not only until recently. Like I did the numbers like way back when on one of these podcasts, and I was looking at quarterbacks of Alabama. And they didn't have a Heisman Trophy quarterback until recently with Bryce Young, you know? So it's like, and he technically hasn't won a championship yet as their quarterback. So my point is, like, it's taken Alabama many years to get to that point where they have an actual Heisman Trophy quarterback. They've had running backs in there, but like actual quarterback play, earning, you know, a Heisman Trophy and a title, like, that is a new wrinkle and thread for Alabama. And I think it's because Saban is willing to adapt his program.
Coach too.
He is a very good coach. And anyone who says otherwise is a fool.
Well, with the game today, how much did we outclass Syracuse, the number 16 team in the nation. You think about it, how many passes did Pine miss or misread?
Well, I mean, I can give you a number here, but
scored in the 50s or 60s if you think about it.
I'm kind of on board with what you're saying too. I think we underperformed this game. I think we had a lot of breaks on both, especially the defensive side of things, where we had some tip passes that were picks, and we had our special teams make a big play. Like we had a little bit of bonus groove there. So I think we should have blown them out more than we did, but that's just me.
I mean, we could always want, more, but the fact remains that Notre Dame was solid at Syracuse today, and that's something to celebrate today. So really happy. Well, Hockey Dude, we're really happy. We're going to jump over to Adam Dowling here, and we're just we're happy with a win. Notre Dame victorious over Syracuse, 41-24. I am at faithful_Irish on the Twitter. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. Hockey Dude, anything else you want to say?
Well, hey, let's get Red Wings, and remember All Saints Day was in June.
All Saints Day? What are you talking about? It's next week. What are you talking about?
It's All Saints Day was in June, after first Sunday after Pentecost.
No.
Easter.
False. False. Check your liturgical calendar. See Twitter for details. Thank you, Hockey Dude 8487 on the Twitter. Thank you so much, and go Irish. All right, Adam. We'll bring you back on here. Adam Dowling at Adam_Dowling1 on the Twitter. Welcome back to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, Adam.
What's going on, guys?
Dude, are you feeling good tonight?
I would say I'm feeling I'm good because we won, but not so. I feel like that game should have been about 52-14.
Okay.
Amen.
So you're saying you want more?
Yes. I mean, how many times in the third quarter did we have the ball just waiting to blow these guys out, and we just kind of let them hang around? And we kind of did that same thing with Carolina and BYU too. So it's a little bit frustrating that it looks that we don't finish games. If we could actually ever just play a whole game, an entire game.
Yeah, that third quarter was iffy. There was a point where I was like, oh boy, here we go. Like, they're going to make a run. They're completing passes over the middle, deep balls. Like, I hope they can hold it together. And then they got that pick, and then they got some big plays, and so I'm with you on that.
It might have been a couple of callers ago that was kind of talking about the blitzing, and I kind of agree with him. But I think it's more with the way they time the blitz, because they like to blitz both backers, like double A gap blitzes a lot. And if you notice, I swear, I mean, I don't know exactly the stats, but it seems like whenever teams get big pass plays across the middle, it's because we do that double A gap blitz, and we never get home. It's like we never get there. I mean, it's just something I've noticed, but I don't know if that's 100% correct, but it just seems like we've got to be the worst middle linebacker blitz team I've ever seen. I swear, we never get there.
And I think that's if you can't get there as a linebacking core on a blitz, your cornerbacks and your secondary is hung out to dry. They're screwed. You're stuck one-on-one, but there's something there, I think.
I might be wrong where it's not a blitz where they drop a D lineman in the coverage, but whenever they bring both those backers, it seems like they never get there.
Yeah, but I think Notre Dame's blitzing is certainly needs to be analyzed. And look, I mean, I take a very statistical approach of like, look what's happening, look what they're giving you. Estime was successful today. He continues to demonstrate why he should be the number one quarterback of Notre Dame. He has 2 touchdowns tonight. He's leading the team in rushing yards and averaging 6.2 yards per carry. And he's tied with Diggs, both of them carrying the ball 20% of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of confused why Tyree was playing in that fourth quarter when they were like doing some short yardage stuff. And I was like, why is Tyree in? Why wouldn't they have Estime in?
I mean, I don't have a problem with giving Tyree a bone and letting him, demonstrate some
control.
Yeah, well, and like I mean, he's talented too, I mean, anyone who's listened to this show for a while knows that the quote unquote theme has a piece there with Tyree in it. So, I mean, that's cool. But no, I mean, look,
I feel like too, if Drew Pine there was so many just easy passes that he missed that could have let drives continue.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he missed so many just easy, should have been just 100% completed passes. And I feel like if he would just play above average, they win that game even bigger.
Yeah, that's where I'm right there with you, my brother. There's just too many little things for them to be a spectacular team and a dominating team. It's like they got so many breaks this game against Syracuse and even last week against UNLV, and they, this tonight was an awesome win. It really was, but it could have been. They didn't put out their best performance they could.
No, they left a lot of points out there.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to play like I'm sorry, that front you're going to see next Saturday is a whole nother animal of what you saw today. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to just be able to just pound it down their throats. Drew Pine's going to have to make some plays.
So Adam, you're kind of the, I don't want to say cold shower, but you're definitely kind of the hey, this is kind of where our team is relative to the rest of everyone else, and this is where our program is, and you're just like, hey, we need to get better, and so you're kind of taking a historical perspective of where Notre Dame needs to be, if I may be so bold.
Yeah, I would say that they need to be better. But we know what this team is this year. Like I think I heard you say earlier, you thought this really should be a 6-6 team. So we're not at the championship level.
I mean, right now 7-5 seems very reasonable. And with this win over Syracuse, that I think that cracks the door open and gives Notre Dame a shot at getting potentially up to 8 wins, which would be back to the median of the standard deviation for really good coaches, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as I've pretty much said this whole season, my thought, as long as you saw the team getting better, then I would be happy with Freeman's first year and his recruiting, the way he can recruit and all that. But so that was what was so frustrating when we looked like we were getting better through Carolina and BYU, and then that Stanford game happened. That's what made it. It was like, oh goodness, how did that happen?
I mean,
and then we looked better again today. It
wasn't perfect, and you were there live in person at said Stanford game. So that was a night game. Our next game, and we don't want to get too much into the weeds of Clemson here, but Clemson was a night game as well. Is there something to say about daylight games with Notre Dame, or the night game? It's just scary. I mean,
I don't know. It does. Seem
that doesn't
like
explain the Marshall game, but
it seems like they play better when it's like earlier and on the road. Like, what is going on at home that they come out so flat?
That's a good question, and I think only people in the stadium who have been there more times than me this year can answer that. So, well, Adam, we got a couple more people we want to jump to. Thank you so much again for jumping on. We really appreciate your loyalty.
Okay. Hey, one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm going to throw it out there out you. Have you? I didn't listen to the whole show, but did anyone mention the ACC refs? How bad some of them calls were?
We kind of talked about that. How the beginning of the game seemed like it was going to be a really tight called game, and then it kind of leveled out, or the teams kind of mellowed out.
I think the second half they cooled off a little bit, but the first
even
half was
some of
really
that-
weird, especially the first quarter. It was like
personal
holding,
foul
personal
or
foul, personal foul.
unsportsmanlike, and then that touchdown pass where that guy stepped out of bounds, and they said that he didn't at the end.
Yeah,
fourth quarter.
Look, I'm not the
How
one
do you
reviewing
not-
the film. Like I thought he
Yeah.
still was in, just because I thought I saw
I thought he was in.
blue.
Did you think he was
turf.
in? Yeah,
I did.
Okay, maybe,
I mean, I'm
maybe
not the
that
one
might
being
be-
paid to make the call, right? But my thought is like, look, here's where we are, here's where they are, and I assume that the officiating crew is seeing the same footage that we are seeing on the TV. And I didn't
thought he
see
stepped out
anything
before the catch.
Well,
Before
and that's the
catch, I
thing.
thought-
Like, is it conclusive? Are we seeing anything conclusive that proves to me that it overturns the call in the field? That is ultimately
Man,
the question they have to ask. And look, you're the ref. You're being impartial, and you're supposed to make that call. And in my opinion, it's like, well, I don't see anything. I think touchdown was called on the field, and I didn't see anything on the fuzzy, pixelated, 4:3 aspect.
For some reason, they have
version.
13 times 50 million high def video, but we get a fuzzy ass replay. I don't know how the hell that works out, but it does.
Well, okay. Well, and I felt
I
like
don't
Riley Mills and Foskey, they could have called holding against them every single play. They
I'm
never
with you
did.
there. Yep.
Hey, and I'm gonna
okay, I'll let you get to the other callers and stuff.
And I'm gonna
hopefully we can come to play next week, guys, and
I hope so
and
too.
actually make it a fun atmosphere. Hopefully, everyone didn't sell their tickets to Clemson fans already.
Well, if anyone's tailgating, hit up Adam Dowling at Adam_Dowling one on the Twitter for tailgating.
And before you leave, I'll flex my co-host privileges and do one quick top moment of the game.
I like that you're taking ownership of the
Do
show.
a positive, best positive thing.
The best positive thing for me? Oh, it's the offensive line for sure.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Offensive line, the movement they were getting on those guys. I mean, once you can do that, you can do anything. You can
Like
move
run the
guys
football?
like that. Yep. And it usually opens up the pass game if your quarterback was any good.
Oh,
that's the problem.
Zing. Okay. Adam speaking the
All right,
truth.
guys.
He's not wrong with what he says. At Adam_Dowling one on the Twitter. Better half
Go Irish.
of Mrs. Dowling. So thank you, Adam. Well, we're going to invite Patrick B to join us at Sav McCauley on the Fighting Irish Faithful show if he wishes to join the show. But if not, no big deal. I think we're going to end with Jam at JAMEKO703 on the Twitter. If he wishes to join us, Jamiko703, you've been invited to speak. We're going to kind of wind it down. We're over 2 hours in, and we've got a kitchen to clean and some babies to play with, and some more football to watch tonight. So, Jamiko703, you're welcome to join us if you so wish on the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Jam. I don't think he's gonna jump on.
I need to go listen only, fellas. I'm not in a position to speak right now. Thank you.
All right, go Irish, no problem. Well, co-host, I mean, what's your take of this show? I mean, that's kind of everybody. We've kind of hit everybody up here. What do you think? Should we just take the win and celebrate, or should we put any stock into this, or are we just setting ourselves up for disappointment in a week?
Those are multiple big questions, and first thing I want to do is thank you, Joe, for letting me on air and letting me speak, and I appreciate that. And it was great, so much fun watching the game with you and your family tonight. So I thank you for that. And
well, maybe
awesome
this
nachos
is why we won,
and everything
right?
else. It could be, but I think that I'm pumped up. Like I'm the victory is great, but
it is good. It was a solid victory tonight.
But just like any football team, I'm kind of that. Like, okay, tomorrow's a different day.
You have a 24-hour rule, is what you're telling me.
Yes. So I want to see what we're gonna do next week against Clemson, because the team that I saw tonight, they have been good win, but they got a lot of breaks. A lot of drop passes by Syracuse.
Syracuse did not.
They didn't provide any pressure on the defensive line. They let Michael Mara, for some reason, be single coverage throughout the game, and Drew Pine didn't look anywhere else. I think it was the same old script, except for some sort of reason, somebody lit a fire under Tommy Reese's ass, and they ran the ball. I think that was the only difference between this week and the last few.
I mean, it was statistically noticeably more of a run the ball Notre Dame team tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a function of, everyone knows that Mayer is really our only severe significant threat in the passing game, or if Notre Dame just knows, hey, we have so much strength on the running game and the offensive line is starting to cook, and we see a weakness and an opportunity with the Syracuse defense, then hey, let's take it to them. But I mean, I'm not going to argue with the outcome and the output. Again, my filter, my preference is running the football. So if we run the ball close to 75% of the time, I'm not going to complain about that. Now, I don't think
we win.
As long as we win, but I also will admit that is not a sustainable model for greatness, quote unquote, as a football program. But I've also reconciled and admitted to myself and to our listeners here on the podcast that Fighting Irish Faithful show, we are not going to have the same perspective we have as far as expecting Notre Dame to make a New Year's Six Bowl, make the playoffs, or compete for anything of great significance this season. I know that sounds shitty and defeatist, but look, that's just where we are right now. And so I have to take the strengths and the victories, the little wins, the little battles that we are winning along the way, and say, look, if we can go to the number 16 ranked team's house, beat the crap out of them, bitch slap them, and say, this is where we are, I'm fine with that. I will take that victory, give our players, a big boost of confidence, and maybe they need that going into the Clemson game. I don't know.
So what's your big point taken away from tonight? Big positive.
I mean, my feeling is, I'm not a coach, and I'm not asked to motivate young people, but what I will say this is, winning is intoxicating and you want more of it. And so if you want to be victorious, take that energy, take that preparation, take that focus, that discipline, or just that edge, whatever it was. And I'm not in the locker room. I'm not on the field. I'm not on the sideline. I'm just some dude in central Indiana here running a podcast with a friend and drinking scotch here. Well, the scotch is a little low, but if I have any more, we'll be miserable and worthless the rest of the night. But my point is, like, Notre Dame, whatever you did, whatever good productivity you did today, have that bleed into and carry into the Clemson game, because it is the biggest game at home this
gotta
season.
Keep that fire, man. That passion is so.
And the last time we beat Clemson, we won, and that was actually the first. Anyone who's new to the show, go back to 2020. The Clemson post game show is the first post game show we ever did. Now, we were not live on Twitter Spaces, but I did go live with the mics for about 20 minutes.
Were you on MySpace?
No, MySpace. I've never have I ever been on MySpace. But no, we were seriously live. Well, not live, but we did record a podcast after the game, after we beat Clemson at home in 2020, which was great. At the time, they were ranked number 1. Granted, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence, but the point is, that was a fun episode. I love that episode. Is one of the best shows we did in 2020. And we could in theory do it again. But we need to bring some of that energy, some of that attitude we saw today, and quite frankly, execution. You have to execute. Now, do I think we're going to run the ball 75% of the time and be successful against Clemson? No. But if we are, I'm not going to complain about it.
I mean, at least we got a good starting ground to walk into the game with.
I think so too.
I mean, because they went with a pass approach.
I mean,
last few weeks, and that
if
was
we had
bullshit.
lost this game,
so I'm glad they have something.
Our ability and our
Something good.
confidence or how our thoughts, in this post game show would be completely different going to Clemson. We'd be a very woe is me and like whatever, just rip off the Band-Aid, just get it over quick, kind of situation. Whereas now we're like, hey, we got a shot against an undefeated Clemson team. Like I genuinely think, as a aspiring, positive Notre Dame fan, that is a possibility. The likelihood and the probability of Notre Dame at home defeating Clemson, a team where their quarterback situation is a little shaky. It's not set solid, on bedrock foundation. DJ Uiagalelei has shown weakness, and I think Notre Dame potentially has a shot. We'll explore that more this week and on Tuesday night show. So everyone who's live with us tonight, wait for the Tuesday night show on Twitter Space on the Fighting Irish Faithful show if you want to just catch on the the podcast version. But yeah, we're feeling good tonight. So,
and if I may, that aside from Twitter, I listen to a lot of Fighting Irish Faithful stuff on Apple and the other podcast entities.
Yeah, Spotify,
and
YouTube.
I don't get the enjoyment of interacting firsthand, but typically this is a treat tonight. But
it's because it's the first time I've invited you to my house, so.
And it will be the last.
What? The nachos weren't sufficient for you? I should have smoked the beef instead of put it in the crock pot, is what you're saying.
It would have helped.
That you're not wrong. Would you rather have crock pot roast or smoked roast on the barbecue? Yeah.
Back to the show.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, if there's no one new here, Jam's going to listen. We've invited Red to speak, Mrs. Charles Lane, if you wish to join us. But if not, no big deal. Yeah, Notre Dame is victorious. We defeat Syracuse at home in their stadium, 41-24. Notre Dame victorious over Syracuse. I think, we're feeling good. I mean, I can't think of too much better opportunity for Notre Dame to jump over this.
Gotta have high hopes for a living.
I mean, that was last week's show, right?
And we've exceeded. We've got there.
I mean, again, Notre Dame victorious. We're gonna go out with some old timey stuff. I mean, running the ball 75% of the time. What is this, 1954?
It's a beautiful sight.
I mean, who was on the sideline coaching?
We did have a good cigar.
Frank Leahy was coaching.
Yeah, we had a good cigar and whatnot. So back to the tradition.
Maybe that's why we won. We went at halftime. Anyone who saw on Twitter. We smoked cigars and drank some scotch at halftime in the backyard.
Beautiful day, by the way.
Thank you, Tom. It was a sunny day. It's really uncharacteristic here in Indiana. Usually it's like rainy.
Cold.
And clearly. Yeah, that's where we're at today. So Notre Dame victorious over Syracuse. It feels good to be an Irish fan today. We'll take it. Notre Dame has had some struggles. We've been critical of Reese. We've been critical of Pine. And maybe some of the pressure has been released because we're running the football. Like in the spring game, we said the most successful opportunity for us in the likelihood of us to be successful is to run the football. Because even when we had Price prior to his injury, Price gives Notre Dame the ability to run the ball. Between Diggs, Tyree, Estime, I wouldn't be unhappy with any of those guys running the football. I'm happy to see one of the guys, Estime and Diggs, are kind of, emerging as the number one.
They'll have NFL potential.
That's
in different ways.
100% true. It's 100% right. So, not going to complain about that. So, Notre Dame victorious, and Happy. Anything else you want to say, Dominic?
No, God bless you all. You're in my prayers. All the Fighting Irish faithful are now in my liturgy of prayers. So praying
Bedtime
for you, pray for
prayers,
us.
right? Yeah, that's right.
And let's go Notre Dame.
Yeah, go Irish. You know, I'll be. This is like, I feel like I'm at confession. You know, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I genuinely thought Notre Dame was going to lose this game. I genuinely thought. I'm looking at the stats. You know, what is this? The top 9 stats. Syracuse had the advantage. They had a better record. They had a more experienced coach, a way more experienced coach. But the only thing Notre Dame had going for them was their talent. And that showed. So, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I will go say 3 Hail Marys. And
sometimes they step up in weird ways.
You know what? I'm a sinner too.
But this is the caliber of this team. Like they can put it up if they want, but not always they want to. Anyway,
I agree. Well, Notre Dame's victorious. We win. And we'll see you all on Tuesday night. Thank you, Dominic, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Wookie, J.O. Gallagher, Irish Eyes, Justin Case, Irish JTL, Holzum 35, David Barnett, Stevie D. Irish, Davis 0560, Hockey Dude, and Adam Dowling. I appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. Wow. Good post-game show. I'm glad Notre Dame has a victory. And let's go. Go Irish and enjoy the victory. We'll see you on Tuesday night.
Zibikowski looking for a block. Cuts to the right to the 40. Gets a block. Gets to the 45, 50. Up to the 45, 40, 30. 1 minute to beat. 20, 15, 10. He's done to the